In this video I'm playing against 4 other Grandmasters who are purple, yellow, blue and green, and 1 expert rank player who is orange. The 5 Grandmasters match with 1 other rank series continues. This is another game with my subscribers, meaning that we will be able to make our moves more freely, without being afraid of getting suicided unlike it usually happens playing in the public lobbies. This is a 6-player fixed cards game on classic Risk map. Settings: alliances on, balanced blitz dice rolls in 60 seconds per turn. So as you can see, there is already some drama going on. The drama over Australia, as you know guys, no Australia, no win, so every player is desperate to go for it. The purple player decided to go for it, but the yellow player decided to add some troops into it as well, and judging by the purple player emojis, it seems it made the purple player angry. I mean, in the public lobbies it wouldn't be wise to add some troops into Australia when there already another player added some, so unless you clearly have more troops. But this is the game with Grandmasters, and not random ones, but subscribers, meaning that we wouldn't be dumb enough to crush the armies of another player just to potentially clear out the continent for another player. So unless purple or yellow will see that they're completely safe to crush another one's army, I doubt they're gonna seriously fight for it. I believe the reason the yellow player decided to add some troops to Australia as well, when the purple player already was going for it, is because if you end up without a continent in a 6-player fixed cards game, then you're in a huge risk of getting eliminated. Usually small continent players team up among themselves to get rid of anyone else, so the players who either go for big continents or don't have any continents at all, it makes sense for them to do so, so they would be able to sustain the advantage over other players and, if everything goes right, guarantee themselves being in the top 3. As if you let someone hold a big continent, then that player could eventually decide which player he wants to eliminate. And that unlucky player could be any of the other players, so it's better for small continent players to sustain the advantage among themselves, rather than give a possible opportunity for a big continent player to potentially eliminate one of them. And another priority after the big continent players, is to focus on the players who didn't get any continent, as for the small continent players to fight with another node. Small continent players wouldn't be quite efficient, so unless the Australian and South American players want to team up on the African player, but for the African player to start attacking either Australian or South American player, probably wouldn't be the best idea. So unless either Australian or South American player is a turtling player who doesn't attack a lot, being the strongest and prolongs the game, then other players could team up on him, as nobody would like to give that player a huge advantage when other players are attacking a lot, or aren't as strong. So in this game I didn't get lucky to get a small continent, so I'm going to test out my luck by going for North America. I mean, I could have tried going for South America, but the orange and green players had some troops there as well, so I decided just to leave it for them, and try to go with some more fancy strategy over here, like going for North America if possible, or try to steal a continent from someone else if I get such an opportunity, in case I would be prevented from holding North America. And it seems we just got our first player to get eliminated. That was quite unfortunate for the yellow player. Not sure what I would have done if I were him, but maybe it would have been better for him to keep adding his troops in Australia, who knows. Anyways, this is why I wasn't hesitant to clear out yellows and blues territories from North America fast, even without knowing if I actually be able to hold it. So it would potentially help out for other players to get rid of them of the game if possible, as neither of them were lucky to get a continent, and differently than green, they were getting cards. So they were more tempting for others to get eliminated, with some of these troops getting compensated. As you know guys, in the subscriber games our goal is not to prolong the game and get to the 3-player situation as soon as possible. In this situation blue, differently than yellow, was able to trade in a set, so he might survive. It really depends on who wants to attack who, and how strong the alliances are. Who of us have better alliances? My suggestion for now is to attack green since he isn't doing anything and is the weakest, but at the same time I know that the players can betray and potentially team up on me because I'm holding North America. But I mean, I wouldn't turtle in it, but differently, I would help out my allies orange and purple to get rid of our enemies by using a lot of troops for that too, as I know that if I were just hurtling, then my allies would be forced to betray me, starting to attack me a lot, so I wouldn't end up having quite more troops than anybody else. And this is quite a surprising move. I didn't really expect for the green player to invade orange. I'm not sure exactly what were green's thoughts behind that, but he really worsened his position by a lot. He is barely alive and could get very easily eliminated, especially if he continues getting cards. But I mean either way, because our goal is to eliminate other players who are not really needed in the game as soon as possible before we get to the 3-player situation. And I mean, if the green player had been quite stronger, then probably it wouldn't have been that bad of a move, if after invading orange he would have been able to fully capture South America and properly guard both of the borders. Sometimes it can be a good tactic to steal a continent from someone who left it not really well guarded. But in this case I don't really know exactly what the green player wanted to do. I would doubt he had a lot of strong alliances. So maybe he did that because the orange player placed a lot of troops next to him, as he might got to be freaked out, or maybe the green player was expecting to get the best blitz roll possible, knowing that it was one of his last chances to do something, as in continuing doing nothing, he would just be eliminated anyways. In any case, I'm very glad that the situation kinda solved by itself, as I wasn't guaranteed to be in the top 3, with the blue player getting Africa. Maybe the small continent players would have decided to focus on me in the 4-player situation. But with the green player invading orange, he made both of them to be barely alive, guaranteeing me to be in the top 3 if purple and blue stayed loyal. And they did. So I'm just kinda feel bad for the orange player. He had no problems with me capturing North America, and I trusted him a lot that I didn't even guard the border next to him. Usually South American player wants to prevent others from getting North America, but in this case the orange player really wanted to be a good ally of mine for sure. So I felt kinda bad to crush his 5 troops in South America after he was invaded by green, so either blue or purple would eliminate him from the game. But I mean, in one way or another someone has to lose, as otherwise the game wouldn't end. And to eliminate the weakest players is the most efficient and safest way for the strongest players to get to the top 3 situation. I decided to leave the green player for blue rather than taking him out by myself, so I wouldn't bring the attention to myself by holding both of the Americas at once. But even with only holding North America, I was still invaded by purple. As obviously I was still the player who gets the most continental troops. And also the purple player was probably afraid of me and blue pulling off the deadliest trap strategy against the Australian player when both of the Americas player teams up with the African/European player without guarding borders against each other, and then crushing their troops into the trapped Australian player in the way that it would be mutually beneficial for both of them. So anyways, after getting betrayed by purple, I will probably try to team up with blue, especially when blue by himself sent me an attack request to attack purple. But it seems the blue player has just changed his mind as well. Or maybe he sent the attack requests for both of us to attack each other, then seeing which player it would be more worth to team up with. It really seemed both of the players were showing the initiative to team up with me, but both of them suddenly changed their mind. And I mean, that's completely fine. Now I will be on my own for a while. I have to come up with something to get out of this disadvantageous situation. I don't want to let them hold big continents while they wouldn't attack each other, so how about if I stay in both smallest continents, South America and Australia? Well, maybe it wasn't the best decision at all, as with the purple player's biggest army being blocked, the blue player could potentially take over a good advantage, especially if getting a good blitz roll crushing my South American army. But thank God the blue player didn't take the initiative to highly increase his advantage, maybe even getting huge chances to win the game, so the game stays saved and we can relax once again, but probably for not long. The blue player says me to attack the purple player, but I'm not sure. Maybe it would be more worth to try teaming up with purple, plus additionally the blue player is the strongest now, so I wouldn't like to put myself and purple in a very dangerous situation again. And I mean, the blue player sent me an attack request to attack purple last time, but ended up fortifying his biggest army next to me. but to be honest currently I don't really trust any of them, and now I'm more on my own. I tried to make both of my armies equally sized in my both continents, so my opponents couldn't crush any of them, as if one opponent crushes one of my armies, then he could potentially give away the game for another player, but it really depends on how strong each of us are. So while one of the players couldn't afford crushing one of my armies, maybe the another one could. I think I will invade only blue now, so the purple player might be tempted to switch his front from the alliance with blue, to the alliance with me, and I want the purple player let me hold South America. And oh no guys, I was kinda expecting the blue player to invade purple, so the purple player invade me, either that or that he would decide to team up with me after that attack. But the blue player decided to crush his traded-in troops into me. And now I perfectly understand what they were setting up for. The deadliest trap strategy against the Australian player. I don't understand how it wasn't obvious for me at first. They both didn't guard against each other, and the blue player even clearly set his armies up for that strategy. I saw that the blue player is potentially hoping to do, but I'm not sure why I was putting so many hopes for the purple to change his mind. He was obviously guarding strongly against me while not paying much attention to blue. But yeah, after all for some reasons I didn't expect them to clear me out of South America somehow, so now I ended up in a very rough situation. Anyways, before trying to manual rolling blue a lot, so he would be forced to invade purple that the balance of the game would be saved, firstly I decided to block my army in Australia and see if they're going to betray each other with my army being blocked. Both of them equally strong, so I think I wouldn't risk to ruin the game in case one of them would betray another one with my army being blocked, which isn't as weak. My army got unleashed, and I think I will just leave it here along with stopping getting cards, as in case they don't betray each other, then I will be forced to manual roll the player whose turn after mine, in this case blue, and after manual rolling blue I shouldn't become to be worth to be taken out for my cards. So it's better for me after manual rolling blue, to only end up having one card. As with having more and being weak, it could be very risky. And not necessarily I have to manual roll, I could just split some troops from my army and crush them, but with manual rolling it could potentially be more safe and if I'm lucky enough, efficient. The blue player betrayed purple, but he didn't attack purple a lot, and the purple player decided to just recapture the continent without invading blue. So the blue player decided to continue teaming up with purple and crushed some troops into me. So now I think it's the last chance for me to try manual rolling blue, otherwise it won't be up to me to do something anymore, and the last chance for me would be if they betrayed each other instead of still crushing their troops into me. Again, I'm manual rolling the blue player because the player who gets weakened still has to have the ability to prevent the other player from getting the continental troop bonuses, and it can only do the player whose turn is after mine, in this case blue. Vice versa doesn't really work, as then another player gets his continental troop bonuses and instantly ends up having more troops than both of the opponents combine. So anyways, basically the player who got weakened has to have the ability to betray the player who didn't get weakened, so the balance of the game would be saved. And obviously the weakened player has just to straightly betray another player attacking him a lot, as otherwise the game is over, like it happened in this case. The blue player didn't realize that the purple player will end up having more troops than both of us combined and be able to take both of us immediately out. But I don't know, maybe the game would have been still over. I think maybe I ended up weakening the blue player too much. I didn't expect to get such good manual rolls to be able to even invade him into both of his continents, so I think probably it would have been better, after crushing his army, not to invade him into the continents, letting him get those bonuses, as the purple player maybe would have still been stronger than both of us, even if the blue player had attacked the purple player after. I weakened him to force to do so.